Microsoft Excel is one of the most powerful and useful application software in the Microsoft Office package. Many organizations, both small, medium-sized, and even high corporate organizations, still use Microsoft Excel to perform some basic data manipulation functions. Therefore, it is important for each and everybody to understand and learn how Microsoft Excel operates. However, the levels of expertise vary from person to person, and in this video I have created a series of Microsoft Excel hacks that everybody can be able to use and follow to learn some of the most important aspects of Microsoft Excel. This video is suitable for beginners, intermediate level users, and also expertise who wish to enhance their Microsoft Excel skills. So welcome to the video, but before we start, please consider subscribing to our channel so that you can always be updated anytime we release a new video, especially on this Microsoft Excel series. Consider liking, sharing our videos, and also making a comment on anything ICT that you'd like us to discuss on our videos. So let's proceed to the hacks that we are going to learn today. So today, we are going to use this small data set that I have over here to learn some important hacks that you can use in Microsoft Excel. If you look at this data set, it is more of a party preparation data set where we have some items which are listed in column B. We have the quantity, we have the price per unit, the total price, and now we just want to use this small data set to learn some basics of Excel. To start with, I want us to learn how we can be able to number these items. For instance, this one over here, we may want to number it as number 1, followed by this one number 2, and like that, the sequence follows up to the last item, which is the venue. Although this data set that we have here is small, if you are dealing with a huge data set that has about 100 items, it will take you a lot of time for you to name them manually. So how can you be able to automate that process of naming or numbering your elements in Microsoft Excel? This is how you go about it. So the very first thing that you do is that in the particular column where you want to number your items, list the sequence that you want it to follow, the numbering sequence that you want your elements to follow. So in this case, I wanted to follow the numeric numbering from number 1 all the way up to the last item. So I give the number 1 where I wanted to start, I name it as number 1. Then the second one I name it as number 2 so that Excel can be able to know the series that I want to use. Then I come and select the 2. So I click on this cell that contains number 1. I press Shift, then click on the cell that contains number 2, which in this case is cell A3. Then I come here at the bottom right hand corner of this selection. When I hover my cursor over there, I'll see a plus sign that appears. So I place my cursor there. I click my mouse, hold, and then I drag this one to autofill the numbering. And you realize that the numbering will be automatically generated for you, and you drag it up to where you want the numbering to end. So that is the first hack, how to number your elements in Excel automatically. Very easy to use and very convenient, especially when you are dealing with an Excel sheet that has so many elements. The second hack that I want us to learn is how can we be able to put some borders on this Excel sheet. Because the way it is, as you can see, it is becoming very difficult for us to tell where the rows and columns begin and end. So we would want to have some borders that make it easy for us to easily tell where a particular column begins and ends. So that one is also very easy. So what you do is that you highlight the entire data set like that. Once you have highlighted the entire data set, you go to this section where this subgroup known as fonts. Then you click on this drop down over here and you select all borders, Once you select all borders, you realize that a border has been put in all those elements, and now you can be able to see the disseminations of each row and each column. If you go to where we have all borders, you have so many other border styles that we are going to discuss in subsequent series of these in subsequent videos of this particular series. Now that you have done the second hack, And we have seen that now the look of our data set is more appealing. Let us now go to the third hack. Let us go to the third hack. The third hack that I want us to learn is, if you look at our data set, here we have the quantity in column C. And here we have the price per unit in column D. And in column E, we have the total price. But now the question is, this price per unit, it is not indicated the currency that we are using here. Is it in dollars? Is it in euros? Is it in Kenya shillings? Is it in Ugandan shillings? Is it in Japanese yen? So we would like to indicate the currency that we want to use. So in this case, this is how you go about it. You highlight or you select the entire column by putting your cursor where we have the column numbering, that is the column D. You'll see an arrow that points downward. You click on it, and then the entire cell, the entire column will be highlighted. Then you right click your mouse and you go to format cell. You can see where my mouse is. You format cell. Once you go to format cell, it will take you to the various data types that are available in Microsoft Excel. And you can see currently it has selected the general data type. The general data type is the default data type, which accommodates all kinds of data, be it alphabet, alphanumeric, or even numbers. In this case, we are interested in currency. So you select the currency data type. Once you select the currency data type, then over here, it will provide you with an option to select the number of decimal points that you want to have. In this case, I just want to have 2 decimal points. Let me just remain with 2 decimal points. If you want to reduce, you can reduce there. If you want to increase, you can increase there. By default, it will select the dollar sign for you. But if you want to change to another currency, you can click on this drop down and select the currency that you desire. But for purposes of global consumption, I'll stick to the dollar because it's the global currency. Then I click OK. And once I do that, you realize that all the prices per unit in column D have been assigned a dollar sign. So that is a very, very important hack that you should know. So you can do the same to column E, which contains the total price. So you right click, you go to format cell, you select currency, and then we select OK. So after doing that, the fourth hack rather that I want us to know is how can we be able to calculate the total price for each and every item here. We'll start with the first item, which is 300 ml of soda. We have a quantity of 120, and the price for a unit is $35 US. Now, we have 2 ways that we can use to calculate the total price. The first one is using a function, and the second one is using a formula. So let's start with the first one, using a formula. Then we go to using a function. So a formula looks like this. So you start with an equal sign. Then you specify the cell. In this case, we are multiplying quantity here, and the price per unit. So the cell that contains quantity is cell C2. How do you determine the cell C2? It is contained in column C and row 2. So cell C2, then you put the multiplication sign. You want to multiply it with cell that contains the price per unit, which is cell D2, cell D2. And if you enter, you realize that the price has been put there for us, which is $4,200. So that is the formula. And if you click on that particular cell, you realize that the formula will be put here in the formula bar. But now, what is the challenge with this approach? The challenge with this approach is, if you have so many elements, let's say for example we need to multiply around 12 elements, then our formula will be too lengthy and it may become so complicated. So that brings us to the second option, which is the function, and the one that I would encourage each and everybody to use. So let us now look at a function. Functions are automatically defined for us in Microsoft Excel. All that we need to do is to call them. But how do we go about it? You put an equal sign, then since we are multiplying, the function for multiplying in Excel is known as product. So we say is equal to product, you can see it here, then followed by a bracket. We put the cell that we want. The first cell is C2. Then we define a range. In this case, a range, we are saying that move from this particular cell all the way up to this particular cell. But in this case, we are only multiplying two cells, so our range will be from cell C2 to cell D2. So to define our range, we use a semicolon to show the range, a full colon rather, to show the range. Then you click enter, and you realize that both approaches have given us the same value, So that is the other hack that I wanted you to know, how to use a function and a formula, and at what point do you use a function and at what point do you use a formula. So we have said that a formula is suitable if you only have a few elements that you want to consider in your computation, whereas a function is most preferred in either cases if you have a few elements that you want to consider, or you have a huge data set that you want to consider and you want to use a range. Now, the next hack that I want you to learn, which is also very important, is how now can you be able to also compute the total prices for the other elements, that is the bread, water, transport, birthday cake, and the venue, without necessarily having to go through the procedure of inserting the function or formula again. It is very easy. It is similar to autofill. So all that you do is that you click on the cell that you have already defined the formula or function to use. In this case, we have used a function. Then at the bottom here, you'll see a plus sign that signifies that it is possible for you to autofill. So you click and hold, then you drag up to the last cell where you want the autofill function to apply. And once you release, you realize that Microsoft Excel will autofill the function in each and every cell that is considered within that particular range that you have highlighted. And if you select a cell like this one, which is cell E2, you realize that now in cell E2, it is now considering quantity which is contained in cell C5 and price per unit which is contained in cell D5, as you can see. So in this one, we have seen that it is very much possible for us to easily compute various mathematical functions for a wide range of elements by utilizing functions and the autofill capability. The last hack that I want us to know is now, how can we now be able to compute the total cost for this one? So this one is very easy. We can either decide to use a formula, in which case we say that it should be addition all the way from cell E2, that is cell E2 here, to cell E7. But that would take us a lot of time. So we use a function since it is much easier. So we say is equal to sum. Then we put our curly braces. The cell that we are considering is E2. All the way we define our range to E7. Then we put the closing curly brace and we click enter. And you realize that with that, and we have been able to compute the total cost of the entire party. So thank you very much guys for watching this video, and please subscribe to our channel, and we'll always keep you posted on all matters ICT, and keep watching this series on Microsoft Excel. Thank you.